Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for watching. Not going to try to drag this video on too long here. Just kind of wanted to post up something with some questions I had running Assetto Corsa and using a Fanatec steering wheel here. Just got into sim racing actually. Haven't owned any previous sim equipment at all. Kind of wanted to get into sim racing for a while and figured I would kind of splurge a little bit and get some nice equipment instead of just kind of starting off real cheap. So I don't know if that's the reason why I'm not experiencing what I figured I'd be experiencing. So I just wanted to get some input from you guys with some of the issues I think I'm having and see if you guys can correct me or give me some education on what's going on here. So like I said, I'm running a Assetto Corsa with a Fanatec Club Sport wheelbase version 2 BMW rim, as you can see. Did all the setup I possibly could, followed all the instructions. I've got what I think is correct for the screen layout and whatnot. It looks pretty good here. Just something feels off with it as far as my seating position and the field of view. It feels okay while it's in the game. Something just feels off. I don't know if if everything feels too small. The left door seems like it's not in the right spot. I don't know. It probably looks fine in the video, but for some reason sitting here, it seems off. Even though I got my screens at the right angle and whatnot. I've got so that's the first issue. I've got my screens at 55 degrees, 90 being perfectly in line with the center screen, 0 being perfectly in line with the center screen, and 90 being perfectly to the right of you, and I've got it set at about 55 degrees. But if I set this to 55 degrees like it is now, it just seems a little off. It seems better if I'm at around 35 degrees, so I wasn't sure how that calculation works out. And margin spinner down there is the bezel width, as you can see, and I believe it's supposed to be the width in millimeters of each bezel, not both bezels together. But if I set it at 10 millimeters, which is the width of each bezel, it's not right. So I have to set it at about 20, which is 2 bezels, and it's much better. So I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be or what, but that's the first thing that I thought was kind of odd. So then just the whole, I'm just not understanding some things here about the seating distance. So right now the steering wheel, I just have the computer steering wheel there, just so it kind of matches mine, the top of it anyway. But if I go to seating position, wherever my mouse is here, hold on. Shoot. Okay, until my mouse is working again. But if I drop the seating position down so you can see a lot more of the computer steering wheel, it's a lot larger than my actual steering wheel. So I don't know if the dashboard is where it's supposed to be, which again, looking through the phone here, it looks fine. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna drop down my seating position and you'll see that the computer steering wheel is a lot larger than my actual steering wheel. I apologize, the lighting is a bit low, but I thought it was actually brighter in here. It's not. Turn these guys. Trying to get some more light here. There you go. So with the steering wheel in line, it looks okay, but once you drop down the seating position, the steering wheel on screen is a lot bigger than my steering wheel. So that just kind of threw me off a bit. That's what made me think my settings weren't right. So I'm not sure about that. So maybe some of you guys can throw some insight here about the seating position, the pitch. And the other funny thing is I read a lot about field of view, what's your proper field of view, and I've done calculations, and with my screen setup and distance, my field of view apparently calculates out to about 35 degrees. When I first set this up here on the global settings, it was set to 56 or 55, and again it looked fine, but I was like, oh, maybe it'll look better if I change it to 35. So changing it here is really slow, and as I'm changing it here and the numbers are slowly going down, I don't see much of a change on screen other than literally the shadows on like the wall next to me or something. That's the only thing that would change on screen. So I just left it, and then I figured out how to go back to the actual settings in Assetto Corsa, and I could change the field of view there. I changed it down to 35 and restarted the game, and everything looked exactly the same. I'm like, that's weird. So then I just, for the heck of it, went back into settings and changed it up to 90, where it's at now, which would make everything weird, and it looks exactly the same. So I don't know if Assetto Corsa bypasses the global setting there for field of view, or field of view once I have the triple screen set up with these dimensions in there. I don't know how that works, or if, no matter what those are, I should be able to change field of view here, and it should make a difference. I'm not sure. So that's just funky to me. And like I said, there's just a lot of settings that just don't add up. So I'm not sure if I have this set up properly. So I just wanted your input on that. So that's kind of it for the game. And those of you with the Fanatec wheel, Fanatec, however they pronounce it, I've got everything set up per kind of recommendations. I've got 100% force feedback in the wheel, 0 damping, and then in the game I have to adjust this so I don't clip. Obviously via that. So most of the cars I drive, I've driven only a few, I'm kind of new to this obviously, but most of the cars, anywhere between 65 and 75% is usually where it has to be before clipping. But what I'm curious about is, I kind of went with a very good steering wheel like this. I know I could have gone with Sim Experience or something direct drive, which is like twice the price, if not more than something like this, but I figured something like this is a really good wheel. It's just not as strong as I kind of figured it would be. And maybe it's only Assetto Corsa, I'm not sure, but it's just, I could set it to, like I said, I have whatever car I'm in now, the BMW Z4, force feedback set at 70% here. And I could drive around this track with one hand. I mean, it takes a little bit of muscle, but I can drive around the track with one hand or with one arm. Not that difficult. I could do 100 miles an hour around the corners, and it doesn't feel, it's there, but it's not like, well, I got to hold on to this or else my car's going to go out of control. And that's with me set at the set point where it clips rarely around certain corners. It might clip a little bit, but for the most part, it's at its strongest point, and it's just not that strong. Again, maybe I kind of hyped it up watching all the videos online, but it's not as strong as I figured it would be. I figured I could kind of crank it up if I really wanted to and just get some real muscle work, but not that I need it that high, but I figured I have the ability, but I feel like it clips very easily. It's just not that strong. I mean, I feel the vibrations, I feel this and that, but it's just not as detailed or as strong as I thought it'd be. But again, maybe I just hyped it up. I don't know. I just kind of want your opinions on that. I will contact Fanatec later on, maybe tomorrow or the weekend, after the weekend, if I don't hear back from you guys, if you guys have any more insight for this. But it was basically it. It was just about the settings in the game as far as cockpit position and field of view, which was funny to me. I couldn't adjust that. It didn't make a difference. Why, when I have it set up properly and I drop the seating position down, the computer steering wheel is a lot bigger than mine, so it makes me think that I'm sitting too close, but if I back up, then I feel like I'm sitting way too far back in the seat. I don't know. So that, and then again, the strength of the steering wheel. Is there something wrong with the steering wheel? Is there something wrong with the game? The other thing I wanted to point out too is, since I got this all set up, I used to play GTR2 just on the computer before I even had a wheel. A buddy of mine had it, so I grabbed it from him just to try it out, and obviously it was no fun playing on the keyboard. So now that I have this rig, I'm like, oh, I still have the game. Let me pop that in and try that out for the heck of it. It's an older game, but maybe I can max out the graphics and see what it looks like and play that. And initially had it set at 100% in-game for force feedback setting like this, and it was, well, and I had the force feedback reversed. I don't know why they even have that, so you have to reverse the force feedback for it to be normal, but when it was unreversed, it was so strong, like it would rip the steering wheel out of my hands if I lost control. So I turned it down to 50, and it was still pretty strong. Even at 50% in that game, they don't seem to have a clipping meter like this, but 50% in that game was a lot stronger than what I'm feeling here, and it seemed to be more real. I don't know. So I don't know if it's just the game. Again, the only game I've tried other than GTR2, and I've been playing Assetto Corsa for a few weeks now. But I just want to make sure nothing was off or whatever. So just if you could let me know your feedback in the comments. Those of you that play the game, if you don't have Fanatec wheel, that's fine. Maybe have some insight on the game settings for setting up the field of view and all that. And those of you that have the wheel, if you can provide some input on if the wheel is acting normal, if you think there's something weird about it, if it's sounding too light than it should be, and let me know. All right, thanks a lot. See ya.